Good morning, my friends. Today I want to talk about something that is more powerful than words, louder than noise, and stronger than arguments. Silence. Most people underestimate silence. They think being silent means being weak. But the truth is, silence can change everything in your life, your business, and your relationships. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is power, refined. The mind in noise. Most people live surrounded by noise. Noise from the world and noise from their own thoughts. But when you sit in silence, something magical happens. Your mind begins to settle and your heart begins to speak. In silence, confusion turns into clarity. The problems that once looked like mountains begin to look like small stones. Because when your mind becomes calm, your vision becomes clear. You finally start hearing what truly matters, not what the world forces you to hear, but what your soul wants you to understand. Silence clears the fog of overthinking. It removes the chaos that words create. You realize what decisions are right for you, who is right for you, and where you truly want to go. Silence is like clean water, washing away the dust from your eyes, letting you see life as it really is. Not as your fears paint it. So when life feels heavy, when choices confuse you, and your mind feels crowded, choose silence. Because in silence, you will hear the answers that noise will never give you, the power of quiet presence. When you remain silent, people start to notice. They pay attention. Because your silence has weight. They realize you are not someone who wastes words to fill empty spaces. And in a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, your calm becomes magnetic. Your words gain power because you do not use them often. When you speak with intention, and that makes people listen. Silence shows maturity. It shows control. It shows that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't argue to defend your worth. You live in a way that shows it. Your silence communicates one message. My presence is stronger than my voice. People begin to value your opinions more because they know you think deeply before you speak. Your silence becomes a symbol of wisdom, confidence, and strength. You earn respect not by speaking loudly, but by standing calmly. Silence and anger. When someone is angry and you remain silent, you take the fuel out of their fire. Anger feeds on reaction. It grows when you argue back, when you shout, when you try to prove your point. But when you stay silent, their anger has nowhere to go. It burns out on its own. Your silence becomes your shield. It protects your peace and stops the situation from getting worse. Because often, when people are angry, they don't want solutions. They want to release their frustration. If you respond with anger, it becomes a battle. But if you respond with silence, it becomes a lesson. Silence gives others a chance to hear their own words. They realize how their anger sounds when you don't add to the noise, and silence gives you time. Time to control your emotions and choose wisdom over reaction. Anyone can shout back, but only the strong can remain silent and calm the storm without saying a word. The mystery of silence. When you move in silence, you create mystery. People become curious. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, and why you're not reacting like everyone else. And that curiosity gives you power, because when people can't read you, they can't control you. They respect you more, and they think twice before underestimating you. Silence makes you unpredictable, and being unpredictable protects your goals from unnecessary interference. Most people announce everything, their dreams, their plans, their emotions. But when you move quietly, your results speak before you ever need to. By the time the world notices, your work is already done. Your silence becomes your strategy, and your results become your voice. Silence as protection of energy. Every unnecessary word drains a part of your energy. Talking requires focus, thought, and emotion, all of which come from your mental strength. That's why silence is one of the best ways to protect your energy. When you stop wasting words on gossip, arguments, or endless explanations, you save that energy for your growth. Silence becomes your boundary. a wall that shields you from other people's chaos. You don't need to respond to every comment. You don't need to explain every decision. Not everything deserves your reaction, and not everyone deserves access to your mind. When you remain silent, your energy stays intact. You stop absorbing other people's negativity because you are no longer engaging with it. You become centered, calm, and powerful. That's why people who speak less often appear stronger, because their energy remains pure and their silence protects their peace. The observation that silence creates talking limits understanding, because when you talk, your mind is busy thinking about what to say next. But in silence, your awareness sharpens. You start noticing things others miss, the tone behind someone's words, the emotion in their eyes, the tension in the air. You begin to hear what people don't say, and that's where the truth often lives. Silence trains you to read situations deeply. You recognize patterns: who is sincere, who is pretending, who reacts out of fear. This wisdom makes you better in relationships, business, and leadership because you understand people beyond their words. Silence also lets you observe yourself. You begin to see your own patterns, what triggers your anger, what inspires your joy, what scares you. You learn who you truly are, and that kind of self-awareness is the foundation of wisdom. Silence and creativity. Noise kills creativity. True creativity is born in silence. When your mind finally has space to breathe, ideas start flowing. In silence, thoughts connect in new ways. You begin to see solutions that were invisible before. The greatest inventions, books, and works of art were born not in chaos, but in stillness, because silence allows the imagination to roam freely. Your mind becomes like a clear lake, and your best ideas rise to the surface naturally. When you disconnect from distractions, you reconnect with your own voice, the inner voice that carries your deepest wisdom and originality. Creativity isn't about being different. It's about being meaningful, and meaning only comes from deep, silent thought. If you want to sharpen your creativity, give yourself moments of silence. Let your thoughts breathe, and watch how your best ideas appear effortlessly. Silence teaches patience. Most impatience comes from the need to react, to fix everything quickly, to respond instantly. But silence teaches you to pause. It gives you the discipline to wait for the right moment before speaking or acting. That pause is powerful. It helps you realize that not every situation needs a reaction. Not every problem needs immediate solving. And not every emotion deserves expression. Silence gives you time, and in that time, wisdom grows. Patience is not just waiting. It's waiting calmly and confidently. It's trusting that truth and results will reveal themselves in time, without you shouting to prove them. Silence also builds self-control. Instead of reacting to provocation, you breathe and observe. Instead of rushing decisions out of fear, you wait until your mind is clear. That control becomes patience, and patience becomes wisdom. Because those who can remain silent in chaos are the ones who stay powerful in success. Silence and strength. Weak people speak to prove themselves. They argue to defend their ego. They shout to show power. But strong people don't need to do any of that. Their calmness is their strength. When you remain silent, you show that you are in control of yourself. Your silence says, "I will not be shaken." It shows that your emotions do not control your actions. Your wisdom does. Silence also shows that you have nothing to prove. You don't need validation or applause. You don't need to announce your plans. Your results will speak louder than any words. Powerful people move quietly. They listen more than they talk, observe more than they show, and act with precision instead of impulse. Their silence is their unspoken statement. I know who I am, and I don't need to shout about it. That is why silence is never a weakness. It is the language of strength, discipline, and self-mastery. It is the voice of those who are truly confident within themselves. The final message: silence is not empty. It is full of answers. It teaches you to listen more, observe deeper, and act wiser. It gives you peace in chaos, clarity in confusion, and power in stillness. In silence, you find your truest self. And when you master that silence, you no longer chase power. You become it. So speak less, observe more, and let your silence make the loudest impact. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like this video and tell me in the comments, what lesson did you learn from this speech? Thank you.